All right, so are you ready to dive into some YouTube automation with me today?
Always up for a deep dive, especially into something as intriguing as this.
Yeah, this whole idea kind of blew my mind. I was watching this YouTube video called YouTube Automation Full Course by Elaborate Media,
Yeah, I saw that one
and it
too.
got me thinking about how much the landscape of content creation has changed. Like,
Mhm.
you don't necessarily need to be in front of the camera to be successful anymore.
Right. It's not all about being like Mr. Beast anymore.
Exactly, and some of the figures they were throwing around about potential earnings were pretty eye-opening, to say the least.
Yeah, no kidding. They mentioned that YouTube paid out almost $30 billion to creators back in 2021, and they're estimating it'll be something like $100 billion in 2023.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Those are some serious numbers.
And it really highlights how the way we consume content is changing too. Like, one stat that really struck me was their prediction that by 2025, more people will be watching YouTube on their TVs than cable.
Wait, really? More people on YouTube than cable by 2025?
That's what they're saying. It's a pretty bold statement.
So does that mean we're all going to be ditching our cable subscriptions for, like, cat videos and makeup tutorials?
Well, not necessarily. I think it speaks to a broader trend of people moving away from traditional media and towards online platforms like YouTube, which offers so much more variety and flexibility.
Yeah, that makes sense. YouTube has become this massive library of content. There's something for everyone on there.
Exactly. And when you consider the sheer scale of YouTube's global audience, those revenue figures start to make a lot more sense.
Okay, so let's talk about this whole YouTube automation thing. How does it actually work?
Well, they contrasted the traditional YouTuber model, like Mr. Beast, with this more hands-off automation approach.
Right. They showed how Mr. Beast put so much time, money, and effort into his videos, like the one where he survived 100 days in a circle.
Yeah, that's a great example. It takes a whole team and a ton of resources to create content like that.
And not everyone wants to be in front of the camera or has that kind of budget.
Exactly. That's where the automation model comes in. It lowers the barrier to entry significantly.
So how does it actually work?
They gave this example of an automation channel that's getting millions of views without the owner ever showing their face.
So you're telling me you can be successful on YouTube without even being on YouTube?
In a way, yes. The idea is to create high-quality content, but outsource all the tasks involved.
Outsourcing. So you're not actually making the videos yourself.
Right. You'd find freelancers to handle things like script writing, voiceover, video editing, thumbnail creation, and uploading.
That's pretty wild. So you're basically managing a team of people to create the content for you.
Exactly. And they broke down the budget for this. You could potentially get a whole video produced for around $50.
$50? Seriously? That's less than a dinner out for some people.
It is pretty amazing, right? They claim this one person turned a $50 investment into 4 million views and over $10,000 in profit.
Hold on. 4 million views and $10,000 from just $50.
That's what they said. It's a pretty compelling example.
So you're telling me I could potentially launch a YouTube empire for the price of a takeout meal?
Well, it's not always that simple, of course. Success on YouTube depends on a lot of factors, and results can vary.
Right. I know it's not a magic bullet, but the potential is definitely there.
Absolutely. And they talked about this reinvestment strategy where you take your profits and use them to create even more videos.
So you're basically scaling up your operation as you go.
Exactly. They gave an example of someone who took $8,000 of their profit and created 160 more videos from that.
Wow. And if each of those videos made even a fraction of that initial profit, you're talking about serious money.
It's definitely a powerful concept, but it's important to remember that building a successful YouTube channel takes work even with automation.
Right. It's not just about throwing money at it and hoping for the best.
You need a solid strategy, and you need to create content that people actually want to watch.
And speaking of creating content that people want to watch, they share this inspiring story about a 15-year-old who found success with this YouTube automation thing.
Oh, yeah. What was his secret?
It wasn't even about the money at first. It was about overcoming his fear of starting.
That's so relatable. Fear can be a huge roadblock for a lot of people.
The source actually had this great quote, "I will not let fear keep me poor."
I love that. It's a powerful reminder that we often hold ourselves back.
Okay, so let's say you've decided to give this YouTube automation thing a try. How do you actually find those golden trending topics that are going to bring in the views?
They recommend looking for videos that have a lot more views than the channel has subscribers.
More views than subscribers. What does that tell us?
It's a sign that the content is inherently engaging and attracting viewers beyond just the channel's existing fan base.
So it's like a hidden gem. a topic that's already proven to be popular.
Exactly. And they gave an example of an NBA-themed automation channel that's barely a year old, but already has almost 200 million views.
200 million views in a year.
That's insane. And they're estimating that channel is making about $56,000 per month.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see the potential here. You find a hot topic, create a high-quality video around it, and then optimize it so people can find it.
It sounds pretty straightforward when you put it like that, but there's definitely more to it than meets the eye.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an intriguing strategy.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great example of how the internet is creating new opportunities for people to build businesses and achieve their goals.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into YouTube automation. But there's still so much more to explore.
Definitely, we've only just scratched the surface.
So stay tuned. We'll be back in the next part to delve deeper into the world of YouTube automation and uncover even more insights and strategies.
Can't wait. Let's dive back in. You know, that $50 figure is really interesting when you think about how expensive video production used to be.
Yeah, back in the day, you needed all this fancy equipment studios, maybe even a whole crew.
Right, it was a whole different ball game. But now, with platforms like Fiverr and Upwork, you can get high-quality video content created without breaking the bank.
It's like the creative playing field has been leveled. Anyone can potentially make professional-looking videos.
And that's what makes this YouTube automation concept so appealing. It's not just about the money, it's about the accessibility.
Right, it suddenly feels like something anyone could do.
Exactly. You don't need to be a tech whiz or a video editing guru. You just need to understand the strategy and be able to manage a team of skilled freelancers.
Speaking of which, maybe we should dive a bit deeper into that outsourcing process.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a key part of making this whole system work.
So how do you actually go about finding and managing these freelancers? It seems a bit daunting, especially if you're new to this whole world.
Well, Fiverr and Upwork have made it incredibly easy to connect with talented freelancers from all over the world.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's like this global talent pool at your fingertips.
It is pretty amazing. But you're right, it can feel overwhelming at first.
Where do you even begin?
I think the first step is to really define the scope of your project. What exactly are you looking for in a scriptwriter, a voiceover artist, or a video editor?
So it's kind of like hiring for a regular job.
In a way, yes. You're looking for people with specific skills and experience that align with your needs.
And how do you know if someone is actually going to deliver quality work? I mean, there are so many freelancers out there.
That's where those reviews and portfolios come in handy. Take the time to really scrutinize the quality of their previous work.
So you're basically doing your due diligence.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for samples or even a short trial project before committing to a larger task.
That's a great tip. It's like a mini audition for the freelancer.
Right. You want to make sure they're a good fit for your project.
What about communication and managing expectations? I imagine it could be tricky working with someone remotely, especially if they're in a different time zone.
Clear communication is crucial. Be upfront about your deadlines, your budget, and your expectations.
So it's all about setting those expectations from the start.
And platforms like Fiverr and Upwork have built-in messaging systems and project management tools that can help streamline the process.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like having a virtual office where you can keep everything organized.
Exactly. It can make the whole process a lot smoother.
Okay, so let's say you found your dream team of freelancers, and you've got this killer video ready to go. What happens next? How do you actually get people to see it?
That's where understanding the YouTube algorithm comes in.
Ah, yes, the mysterious algorithm.
It's basically a set of rules that YouTube uses to decide which videos to show to which viewers. And one of the most important factors is relevance.
Relevance. So YouTube wants to show people videos that they're actually interested in.
Exactly. And that's where keywords come in.
Keywords.
Yeah.
Those are the words and phrases that people type into the search bar, right?
Right. You want to think about what words people might use when they're looking for videos like yours, and then incorporate those keywords into your video's title, description, and tags.
So it's not just about stuffing your description with random keywords.
No, it needs to be natural and make sense for the viewer. YouTube is getting smarter all the time, and it can usually tell when people are trying to game the system.
So you have to be strategic about it.
Exactly. Another important factor is audience engagement.
Engagement. So
Yeah.
how long people watch your video, how many likes and comments it gets, things like that.
Right. The algorithm pays attention to all of that.
Right.
It's not just about getting views, it's about creating content that people actually connect with.
So it all comes back to quality. If your video is boring or poorly made, even the best keywords won't save you.
You got it. You need to create content that people actually want to watch and engage with.
It's like this balancing act between understanding the technical side of YouTube and the creative side of content creation.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole process so fascinating. It's not just about following a set of rules. It's about understanding the psychology of your audience and creating content that resonates with them.
And speaking of psychology, we were talking earlier about that 15-year-old who overcame his fear to find success with YouTube automation.
Yeah.
What are some of the other mental hurdles that people might face when they're trying to build a business online?
That's a great question. There's a whole mental game that comes with entrepreneurship. It's easy to get caught up in self-doubt, comparison to others, and the fear of failure.
Especially in the online world, where you're constantly seeing everyone else's highlight reel.
Right. It's easy to feel like you're not measuring up.
So how do you deal with that kind of self-doubt?
I think one of the most important things is to focus on your own journey and your own progress. Don't compare yourself to others.
It's so easy to fall into that comparison trap.
It is, but it's important to remember that everyone is starting from a different place and has different goals.
So you're basically running your own race.
Exactly. Celebrate your own wins, no matter how small they may seem. And remember that setbacks are a normal part of the process.
They're all part of the journey.
Exactly. Don't let them derail you.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the tactical side of YouTube automation, the how-tos. But I'm curious, what are some of the bigger implications of this trend?
That's a great question. I think YouTube automation is a microcosm of this larger shift towards a more democratized and accessible entrepreneurial landscape.
It's like the internet has lowered the barrier to entry for so many types of businesses.
Exactly. You don't need a lot of upfront capital or specialized knowledge to get started.
And that's incredibly empowering. It means that more people have the opportunity to create something of their own.
I agree. It's like we're witnessing the birth of a new wave of entrepreneurs.
It's exciting and a little bit intimidating at the same time.
I know what you mean. It's like the Wild West of entrepreneurship.
There's so much potential, but it's also uncharted territory.
And like the Wild West, it's a landscape that's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
What works today might not work tomorrow.
So you need to be adaptable and willing to change with the times.
Absolutely. It's all about having a growth mindset.
So how do you stay ahead of the curve in such a dynamic environment?
I think it comes down to a few key things. First, you need to be a lifelong learner. Stay curious, experiment with new approaches, and never stop seeking out information.
It's like the only constant is change.
Exactly. And if you're not constantly learning and adapting, you're going to get left behind.
So you need to embrace that change.
Another key is to build a strong network. Connect with other creators, entrepreneurs, and mentors who can share their insights and support you along the way.
It's like having a team of people in your corner.
Exactly. And finally, I think it's important to cultivate a mindset of resilience.
Resilience. So being able to bounce back from setbacks.
The entrepreneurial journey is full of ups and downs. You're going to face challenges, but it's how you respond to those challenges that will ultimately determine your success.
So it's not about avoiding failure, it's about learning from it.
Exactly. Embrace those failures as opportunities to learn and grow, and never give up on your dreams.
That's such a powerful message. It's a reminder that success is not a destination, it's a journey.
Absolutely. And it's a journey that's filled with both challenges and rewards, but ultimately it's a journey worth taking.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We've explored the ins and outs of YouTube automation, the psychology of entrepreneurship, and the larger implications of this trend.
It's been quite a ride.
It has. And I think we've uncovered some really valuable insights along the way.
I agree. But before we wrap things up, I think it's important to remind our listener that this is just the beginning of the exploration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn and discover.
And on that note, maybe it's time to transition into our final thoughts. So we've gone through this whole YouTube automation thing pretty in depth now, from finding those hot topics to outsourcing and wrapping our heads around how the algorithm works. But for someone listening thinking, maybe I could do this, where do they even start?
It really boils down to realizing content creation isn't what it used to be. It's not all about big studios, expensive gear, or needing to be a famous face.
Yeah, it's not about needing to be the next Mr. Beast.
Right. You don't need a huge budget to make it on YouTube anymore.
It's like the whole game has changed.
It really has. And I think that's what's so exciting about YouTube automation. You could actually build a business right from your laptop by tapping into what's already trending and outsourcing the work.
Seriously, using what's already popular and having other people help make the videos. It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It's a whole new way of thinking about entrepreneurship. And it's becoming more and more accessible.
It's like you don't need to wait for permission to be successful anymore.
Exactly. The internet has broken down so many barriers, and YouTube is a prime example. It's giving individuals the power to create their own opportunities.
To build something they're passionate about without needing tons of money or connections.
Right. And that's what makes this so much more than just a way to make money. It's about taking control of your own future and building a business that truly reflects who you are.
But let's be honest, it's not always easy, right?
Definitely. There are always challenges when you're building a business, no matter how you approach it.
And I think one of the biggest hurdles we talked about earlier is the mental side of things. It's so easy to get stuck in your own head.
Absolutely. You start comparing yourself to others, doubting your abilities, and getting scared of failing.
It's like everyone else is crushing it while you're struggling to even get started.
Especially online, where everyone's showing off their best selves. It's easy to get caught up in that.
So how do you overcome that self-doubt and actually take action?
I think the key is to remember that everyone's journey is different. You can't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20.
It's like we're all running our own race.
Exactly. Focus on your own progress. Celebrate your own wins no matter how small. And don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Having a support system can make a huge difference.
And remember, setbacks are inevitable. They're just part of the process. Don't let them discourage you.
You got to be able to pick yourself up and keep moving forward.
Exactly. Resilience is key. And that brings us back to that idea of a growth mindset. The world of YouTube and online business is constantly changing. So you need to be able to adapt and learn as you go.
It's like we were saying earlier, the only constant is change.
Right. So if you're not constantly learning and evolving, you're going to get left behind.
So you need to be open to new ideas and willing to experiment.
Exactly. And building a strong network can help with that too. Connecting with other creators, entrepreneurs, and mentors can give you valuable insights and support.
It's like having a whole team of people in your corner cheering you on.
Exactly. And that's what makes this journey so much more rewarding. It's not something you have to do alone.
So to wrap things up, it seems like YouTube automation is this really unique opportunity. It's a chance to use technology and trends to build a business that you're truly passionate about.
And while it's not a magic get-rich-quick scheme, it does have the potential to create a sustainable income stream.
But I think even more than the technical how-tos, the biggest takeaway is the mindset shift. You need to be willing to put in the work, learn from your mistakes, and never give up on your dreams.
Absolutely. It's about embracing the journey and being open to all the possibilities that come with it.
And as we leave our listeners with that thought, I'd like to leave them with a question to ponder. If success in this model is about finding those hidden trends, how do you spot them early on in your own area of interest?
What opportunities are waiting to be uncovered in your niche? What signals should you be looking for? And how can you use your own unique skills and passions to create content that truly resonates with your audience?
It's an invitation to explore, experiment, and see what amazing things you can create. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of YouTube automation.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time.